when I heard this song and read what you said about the song and the lyrics, I'm like, wow, that struck a nerve. It's just been a crappy few years to say the least. I
Yeah, I
think
think
for a lot of people.
we got kind of lucky. You know, I was born 67, and I think 70s, 80s, 90s, in my opinion, were probably the greatest years that human beings had to live. You know, it's like we were getting out of wars and technology was developing, and you know, not that the 2000s, the early 2000s weren't really great, but we started to get into the internet world, and then the internet's taken us over. And I just, you know, after seeing COVID, which, you know, we got messed up the way that you wouldn't expect to happen in your lifetime. I think
Yeah.
we reached the point where we saw the best and the worst of human beings. And, you know, I started to experience the internet way before everybody. I mean, I think I was the first online tour diary with Savatage back in the 1990s. And you know, I got ahead of everybody, and then I kind of faded away when I saw the COVID thing hit, when I watched everybody nurse themselves with it. But I still had enough of my experiences with the real dark side of it, you know, the lying people, the fake people, the ones that are, you know, trying to use you, threaten you. You know, it's like everybody became powerful in their own minds through what they could do with a couple words on an internet, which is never anything you had to worry about before. We never toured with phones, never mind even being in
Yeah.
places. You know, our tour bus didn't have communication. You know, everyone's a star. You know, these
Mhm.
people are
Yeah.
going out of their way to find something they could do to get a million views and make money, and people aren't working, and it's just kind of become a really weird world.
It has. It has. I was telling my wife too. It's like, what's happening? Am I getting old or is it just getting crazier? I
No,
mean,
it's
it's
getting
just
crazier, and I'm not
ah,
going to name names, but there are certain people that are dead 100% responsible for making it crazier than it is,
yeah,
or should be, you know, and they're fueling it worse and worse. And
yeah, yeah, yeah. So
I
I,
don't think anybody knows what the truth is anymore.
yeah,
And so when I was writing Mayday, it was kind of like I was in one of these positions where, you know, you kind of start to doubt yourself, you know, in a lot of different things. And
mhm,
you know, am I just that stupid? Why am I allowing these things to happen to me? You know, am I that weak? Am I that dumb? You've been warned, you've seen it before.
yeah, yeah,
I mean, we're human beings, so we're not perfect. And, you know, I started writing a song and it just kind of fell right around May 1st. And I saw something. Sorry again about this, whatever bug is making my throat cough. But I just saw that word and I started thinking about it, and I wrote the song. And I have a bunch of things written. I mean, I definitely have an album's worth of material sitting
okay,
around, but I wanted to finish this one song, and I just started working on the lyrics and the harmonies and the melodies and the arrangement. And I liked the idea that it kind of had almost every form of my vocal tones in the one song, and it went
yeah,
through so many emotions musically. And when I got it finished, I was like, you know, I got to release this song. I'm not right now in a mind frame where I really wanted to work and finish a whole entire record, because my solo records are the greatest and worst thing that ever happened to me, because they could be exhausting. You know, I could
yeah,
work on stuff that I think is great and people will hate it, and I work on things that I think are terrible and people can like it. So again, going back to that whole point of whether you're doubting yourself or what you want to do, but I wrote this song and I was like, there's something about this tune, and I just wanted to see it through. So I was like, well, what a better thing to try to do to get it to come out Mayday on Mayday. I don't think
yep,
anybody ever really had written a song called Mayday, never mind released it on Mayday. So you know, I had Tishy play the drums, and I spoke to Sean McNabb, who was doing some backup stuff for TSO. He was kind of in the band's in the background in case
mm-hmm.
one of us got sick. And because with the COVID thing, TSO, we were
Oh,
working on making sure we had TSO able to stay on the road if
yeah,
anybody was ill. And you know, we made it through very well with that. There was a couple singers that weren't able to do shows, but for the most part, we made it. Sean is such an awesome player, and I hate playing. Not that I hate playing bass. I hate the fact that don't hear, like, right out of the gate, you'll hear what a bass could be or should be, but nobody will ever play it like a bass player.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I'm like,
Yeah.
let
Yeah.
me hear what you got. And he just did it great.
Yeah. Super cool song. Like you mentioned the vocals at the beginning too. There's a lot of layering going on, or yeah, it was very cool. And the solo you did, guitar solo, uh, killer, man. That
Thank you.
was
Yeah,
that
there's
was
a lot
worth
of
it right
pieces.
there.
There's a lot of pieces. Funny, when I was coming up with what am I going to do, I'm like, I wasn't going to be able to get everybody to do a video. So I knew this animator who was able to do, Wayne Joyner was able to do this stuff for me. And then I thought about it once it was Mayday. I was like, you idiot. You could have just sat there and done like the cheesiest little video of your hands playing those parts and had it in there. And I'm like, now is it too late to edit it in? Probably is. You know, I could have had me ghosted in the black in the back of my room singing. I'm like, why didn't I just? I don't think I knew exactly how cool his animated video was going
It
to be.
was very cool. It was very
I was
cool.
like, wow, I could have added a little bit more to it,
Yep. Yep.
to make it that much cooler. But I was happy with that. And yeah, the solos, it's cool because it's one of these things where some of the music part, remember talking to Tishy about it when I got it. I was like, I'm not exactly sure what I'm going to do, because some of the music was so cool that you didn't really want to solo over it. You wanted to play it.
Yep.
And then some of the stuff could have had a lead. So I kind of did a little bit of both, where I was playing fast along with the notes and on top of it. And then, I did one of the little signature TSO Savatage counterpoint parts after that. And I think it
Yep.
just kind of went through the gamut of everything that I liked about writing and listening to things I did. And I've liked the response of this song. I think that
Yep.
people really like it when they hear it. I think it's grabbing people to listen to more than once, which I'm appreciating. And I just didn't want to waste it. I was like, if I wait and I get it done with the record, and then, what if the rest of the record is something that's, difficult with the critics or this, that, the other thing. I'm just going to release the single so they have
Mhm.
that to listen to, and people are going to love it or hate it. And when you look at the YouTube channel, all the comments on it are 100% positive, except for one person that said, wasn't necessarily negative. He said that the title was confusing because May Day was International Labor
Oh,
Day or something like that. And I'm like, do you know that May Day is not just May 1st or a title of the day, that it's an actual distress signal? I mean, that's where I was writing this song, was for the help.
yes.
It wasn't
Yes.
like, yay, it's May 1st.
Yeah,
It's
I know.
like I was
My wife,
asking myself for help. And
yeah, my
a lot of
wife is
times,
from Germany, and yeah, over there it's more of their Labor Day.
yeah,
So I
exactly.
can, yeah, but I knew right away what you meant. May Day. It's
Well, I mean, it's a
a
stress
stress
signal. It's a
signal.
stress signal. It's like, and I kind of sometimes in my songs, I think a song Music Man was one of those ones where I recorded it and I listened back to it, and it was peaceful for me to hear it mentally, because it was something that I accomplished that I thought was a really nice piece of art, and it made me settle down mentally. Like, all right,
Yeah.
it just makes you feel sometimes. I mean, life is not technically easy all the way around. Not that
Nope.
I haven't had a bad time, but you just go through a lot. I even without COVID, from 2016 to 2020, the middle of COVID, which only one of these was COVID, I had lost 28 close friends and family members.
Oh,
So you
wow.
just get beat up. I mean, people like
Yeah.
Paul and Dave Z and Mike Howe, and you just turn around, and the thing keeps knocking at you, and then you want to go do what you do. I had a bad accident that a lot of people don't know about. I had a fall on an actual bicycle returning home from
I
being out one night, and I had a really bad brain injury that almost killed me.
Jeez, man.
And it messed with my short-term memory, and I was in the hospital 9 days that I don't remember. So it just was one of these things which kind of made me even more segregated from the
Yep.
world. I hid once that happened.
Yeah.
I was
Yeah.
just not
Well, you're a
myself.
social guy too. I mean,
Yeah.
people who know you, I've never heard anybody ever say a bad word. just love you to death, and you've always been very happy-go-lucky and fun.
Well, the thing is, I
Zach
think that
Stevens tells some good stories. When I talk to him, he's got some good ones of you. So
I open myself up a lot to people because I trust people and I'm
yeah,
honest. I think that's a lot of what causes my problems. It's like my honesty is I guess one of my best and worst qualities because it's like, if somebody doesn't like me, it's because I did something that I was not going to hide from them, and
yeah,
if somebody, that's just the way I am. I'd rather have somebody who's not into me and than somebody who I'm faking myself to. I know so many people that are fake, that are fake to everybody, that are nice to everybody. And people are like, oh, he's the nicest person I know. And I'm like, if you only knew,
yeah,
it's like, you may think I'm a dick, but you have no idea what an asshole that guy is.
yeah,
And it's just kind of the way I didn't want to be that. I mean, if people don't like me because of something I did or said, it's because that's just me showing the honest me. I'm
yeah,
not, I'm,
yeah,
I'm, uh, I'm right there for people. And I always did that with the net, which I think is why I fell to a lot of stupidity on the net too, because I kind of, you assume that people might be like you, and then you turn
yeah,
around and find out there's some really twisted people out there in this world, and it just opens your guard up. COVID was interesting. I think for me there was a lot of necessary things that happened in the midst of that separation. First of all, I needed a break. I was on the road for 35 years in a row, so
yeah,
I think I was probably the only musician that wasn't upset that life slowed down. Plus for TSO, that started in March, which I kind of knew it was coming. I was watching some weird black market news things online, and I saw some of the footage out of the Wuhan thing in the beginning of January, and I was like, this is not going to be good. So I flew to Florida to do something with Jimmy Stern in the beginning of March, wearing a mask
yeah.
before the first cases hit New York and anywhere. And people are like, what are you doing? I was like, everybody's
Something's coming.
I said, everybody's going to be wearing one of these. They said, what do you mean? I said, you'll see. And I just looked at it. I was watching like these weird videos and I'm locking people in their houses out there and you know, filling up the morgues and the hazmat suits. And I'm going, this isn't normal.
No, the first
And
6 months of that was absolutely terrifying.
yeah,
You
and I
know?
just hid. I just hid, and
Yeah.
I actually, by the time it hit, when they started making the lines, I was
Ugh.
already stocked up and done. I was like, I don't know. I stayed away from everything. There was nothing stupider than being in a 3-hour line
Ugh.
while there was a virus being spread, standing on top of people. No
See,
mask, no, we spread it more hiding than we would
yes.
if we didn't hide at all. I mean, that was the whole thing with that. I mean, we didn't, nobody knew what to do. So when people say, oh, no, it's like, yeah, I mean, bottom line is, if you're sick, the best way to stop other people from getting sick is not to get them sick.
Yeah.
So the smartest thing would have been to have anybody who was sick mass, and have them tested, and the testing should have happened. And then, I don't necessarily think we needed to shut the world down the way we did. We could have found areas that were bad, like China did. China didn't shut down China; they shut down the Wuhan
Yeah.
province,
Yeah. Yeah.
which was
Close it
500
off.
million people, but they still shut it down,
Yeah.
and they
Yeah.
wound up having a heck of a lot less deaths than we did. Which, at the end of the day, that's what the whole goal of something like this is. You don't want people to die. I
Yeah.
mean,
Yeah.
that's what
Yeah. Yeah.
that's what I did. I take care of my mom, and she was
Yeah.
turning 80 last year, and I'm like, well, I don't know what this is. I'm not a doctor. I'm not a scientist, but I know enough to know how something's going to spread, and I'm just going to
Yeah.
stay away and see what's going on and get the real intelligent version of it. I mean, nobody had the answers, so to be making them was the worst. And I also didn't want to experience mask land. I didn't want to go out there. I was
Yeah.
out very little in the world when that was
Yeah.
going on. So
Yeah.
I didn't have I got a nice yard. I made my own golf course. I put a beach on my property, and I stayed there with my dog, and I hid from people.
Yeah.
And it was like I just had some time away. I'm kind of a recluse anyway, a lot of times when I'm home. And as everybody went to Zoom and making their broadcasts and game shows or whatever it is they add on the internet, I'm like, have at it. When the world
Yeah.
comes back to normal and you guys go back to the real world, I'll go back to the net. But I just didn't really want to be a part of it. I was blessed that TSO got to do a pay-per-view that year. We did that
Yeah.
live stream. And that was, for me, I drove myself down to Nashville where we rehearsed, and we had to mask ourselves to rehearsals, but it was still one of these things where I saw the band, I saw the production people and everybody that I saw for the 20 years prior, and it was like rehearsing for a TSO tour and just ending with one show.
Mm-hmm. That's crazy.
And for
Yeah.
me, however small that itinerary
Yeah.
was, when I went back home, I still felt like it was a weird year, but I had a lot of, myself happen through that. And then we went back on the road the next year and had the ridiculously tight rules, and a lot of them are like torture tests for you. You get 2 days off in 2 days off in Nashville, and you got a DoorDash and hide in your hotel room. I'm like, and we're on a hotel on the same block as all the bars in the arena, and like, this is torture.
Yeah. Yeah. It was. It
But
was. It was.
we went through it, and I knew there was going to be a period of time where things aren't going to be normal. I knew that it was going to cause wacky turmoil, hatred, and inflation that you can't blame on any single person. No matter who was president right now, the same shit would be going on. So it's like I stay away from politics and bow my head to freaking listen to other people's stupidity, because it's like, look, we had a situation happen that shouldn't have happened, and it did, but there's nobody that would have handled it any better. It
was bigger than any one leader.
Exactly. And there's a lot of people who lost money that wanted to try to make it back, and a lot of them are raising prices to catch up on what they lost. And then that whole wheel starts turning. It's like, and I just bow my head and go, whatever, because it's like, I went from paying $1 to $3.50 a slice for pizza, and I went from $2.75 to $3.75 for gas. I'm like, gas is really not the problem, people. I mean, everybody always look at their gas and go, we're gonna kill my gas. Like, gas is cheap compared to where it should be. Compared to everything else. I mean, you went from a 50-cent can of soup to a $3 can of soup. I mean, everything else has gone crazy. The gas is something that's actually stayed reasonable. So,
the food prices are out of control.
Yeah, I just watch it, and I'm just like, you try to balance it out. I always tell some of my friends that really bitch about it, I'm like, well, you know what? I'm sorry, but you drive around in a truck that gets 8 miles a gallon. I'm not going to pity you.
No.
On your gas, it's like, get a fucking little 40-mile, you could save yourself 8 times the gas money by just getting a vehicle that isn't as cool to drive to the gym in. Like,